rare gem necklace.
Now we have Alicia wearing a bottom back to royal blue with soft carrier skirt and paired with coral geometric necklace.
Now we have Jimena, and Jimena tonight is wearing the inverted racer crop top with the chiffon wide leg pants in red, paired with the color block beaded braided choker.
Now we have Amber wearing a Victorian sheer blouse. It's black with a mirror blown mini skirt.
This here is Hannah, and Hannah is wearing the festival tribal bustier with the chiffon wide leg pants in black, paired with a trapezoid blue choker.
And now lastly we have Lauren wearing a mesh bodysuit maxi in black with a straight floral print.
And Machao is wearing the last look of the night, and she's wearing the pretty embroidered dress in black. And this is Machao.
We present your collection Piñata
too? Do you love it?
I'm hoping I get to be part of Volume 2. That's my biggest thing. I'm also starting to write again, hopefully, and I can't wait to get a new project off the ground and maybe this time get to work with some new friends that I've made, which is
We're working on it, and it was a film directed by an unknown named Martin Scorsese called Boxcar Bertha, starring David Carradine and Barbara Hershey and everybody on the crew and everybody in the small parts in that. And the supporting roles were my housemates when I was at UCLA, and I said, well, you know, maybe I'll stay here. Because even then we knew that this Scorsese guy had some gifts and chops, and I stayed. And what I did was, back in the day, you could go to revival theaters, and you could see double bills of Preston Sturges movies, and you could see a double bill of a great couple of Howard Hawks films, or some other screwball comedy director, Ernst Lubitsch or someone, where you could go see a great speaking Garbo film in chocolate. Sepia was how it was filmed. That's how people saw it in 1953, just before she starred with James Dean in East of Eden. So I would go see these movies, and we'd had them all marked off by our little phones in our kitchens. You know, these revival theaters all over Los Angeles and Venice and downtown LA and the New Beverly Cinema and the New Art. And I did a year of that. I stopped being a theater snob and I became a film snob. And I went to my first audition and I beat out about 600 guys and I got a starring role in a film. And it was made for $300,000, made $35 million in 1972. And the guy that produced it bought every Fox theater in America. So that's why they're called Man Theaters now. And it was a hit, so that was it. I was on a roll, and I was lucky enough to get spoiled in the middle and early 70s in that renaissance of independent, that renaissance of independent film there. That was the world of Bob Rafelson, Five Easy Pieces, you know, early Jack Nicholson stuff. And it was just a great time to be a kid and to be around. And, you know, it changed pretty soon with Spielberg's Jaws, because that became the tentpole, the blockbuster, and all of that. But there was a glorious time for the first 7 or 8 years of the 70s when everybody it was very egalitarian. And we all thought it was going to last. We got a little naive, but it was a really wonderful time to be a young kid working in Hollywood, and I got addicted to it, and so I've been sticking it out ever since.
I know. We're glad that you're here. Thank you. Are you going to see the movie today? Did you see it? Not yet. Okay, cool. Not yet. Nice. Then you can be surprised. Good. I don't know. You guys want to take a picture or anything? This is our red carpet time.
Oh yeah, like red carpet time.
Hey man. How are you? I want to get with the whole cast. Let's get a whole cast one going. Yeah.
Hi guys. Angela Cody.
Hi. Hi. Marshall Mayo. Nice to meet you. Hello. Nice to meet you. Hey, what's up?
Nice to meet you. Casey, nice to meet you. Southwest.
Nice.
Eagle Day.
Oh, all right. I mean, I was there for.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much. Whatever's best.
Thank you. Capturing the moment.
Thanks for getting us over here. You're helping us out. We're mom and pop. We're trying to break out of that. That's cool. Thank you. This is great. Miguel. Are you here? No. Was it? Hi, sir. Hi. Oh. Hi, Adam. How are you? Oh, awesome. Thank you. I totally I'm right. What's that? Where? Where do you want us? It could be beautiful. Yeah.
One with Daniel, because without Daniel, we'd be doing this film festival in the park. Okay. Very cool. All right. I promise I'll make it.
Yeah. Look at that. Yes.
On it. You're all famous.
Thank you so much for being here tonight. Before we begin, I want to thank our sponsors for SA Film, so bear with me. We got Slab Cinema, Fox 29, San Antonio Current, Beating to Go, City of San Antonio, Guerrero CPA, SunnyMalenders.com, Texas Film Commission, of course, Total Media Solutions, Santikos Theaters, yay, Daniel Rodriguez, wave your hand, Daniel. We would not be here if it wasn't for this man, so big shout out to Daniel. The CW35, and last but not least, Silver Eagle Distributors. Thank you so much. Bud Light! Bud Light! Yay! Beer, gotta love beer. So thank you to our sponsors. And where's Adam Rocha? Adam, where are you? He's probably hiding. He's always hiding. Adam, come forward. Where is he? Come on, Adam. Is he? He's back there going like this. Everyone knows Adam, but you guys know that we would not be here if it wasn't for Adam Rocha, for his vision to have the San Antonio Film Festival right here. So big thanks to Adam. Yay! And so to introduce our special guest for tonight, I'd like to bring up a special lady here in San Antonio, Miss Irma Canfield. She is the director, or actually she sits on the board for the Autism Society of San Antonio. And I don't know if any of you know, but the story of Luke is actually about a man who has autism that's looking for both love and a job in life. So who better to introduce our film? So ladies and gentlemen, Miss Canfield.
Thank you, everyone. I am with the Autism Society of San Antonio Support Group, and it's an honor to be here with the San Antonio Film. Thank you, Adam. And the mission here is straightforward, is to make sure that, sorry, I'm nervous, to improve the lives of all affected by autism. And it is such an honor to introduce the director Alonso Mayo, Zeth Green, Lou Taylor Pushy. Thank you.
Hi guys. Hi. Thank you so much for coming. This movie is really special to me and to these dudes as well. I'm very happy that they're here with me. They made it happen, and I hope you enjoy it. There will be a Q&A afterwards, so if you stick around, you can ask some questions, and that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoy the movie.
In the movie, there are several songs and some light choreography. We're hoping that everybody could learn these steps so that at the end during the Q&A, we can all do it together.
Thank you guys.
All right.
See you in a bit.
This June 17th to June 23rd, experience the San Antonio Film Festival with more than 125 fabulous films from across the country and around the world. Get up close and personal with the movie stars and filmmakers. Enjoy free workshops and learn the movie business from the pros. Plus, super cool swag for badge holders. Whatever you do, don't miss San Antonio's official film festival. Badges on sale now. Visit SAFILM.com to get yours.
You know, if he had just gone on another 2 minutes, I'd have knocked down about 15 more of those meatballs. They were good. When I was asked if I would speak, I had to.
So maybe what we should do is wait until you know how many minutes? Yes. Is that
Yeah, of course. Hop on right now. Go. Yeah, no, I love it. I'm on the same boat.
Cardiac arrest is terminated at $1,500 in 36 minutes. He received intravenous lidocaine, intravenous epinephrine, a lidocaine drip, 2.7% sodium chloride solution, catheter from the A-line, and the intravenous line should be sent to the poster. He's monitored with the EEG and KG, defibrillated.
They're going to have to take him away now.
I'm just gonna clean roll up.
Catheters from the A-line.
Just like to spend some time alone with him.
Some all positions involved in resuscitation along with could we all step out for a minute, please?
Are there, let me ask this, we have a couple of minutes here before the next screening is going to happen. Does anybody in the audience have a question that they'd like to ask? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I heard that you were writing a book about your hippie life in the late 60s, is that correct?
Well, it is. Of course, we didn't call ourselves hippies. We were pretty hard cases. I wrote that book. That book's been in...
Good evening. How's everybody doing tonight? Great. Thank you so much for coming out to the San Antonio Film Festival's premiere of The Last Ride, starring San Antonio's very own Henry Thomas. Anybody remember Henry Thomas? He is from E.T. Exciting. We have in studio this evening Mr. Tim Jackson, who will be available afterwards for a Q&A. He's actually the executive producer of The Last Ride, so it'd be a great opportunity for those of you looking to get into the film business. He's the guy that you want to talk to, so will you give him a round of applause for So we're going to start the film here shortly. I also want to give another round of applause to Mr. Adam Rocha. If you'd please stand. Stand up, Mr. Rocha. If it weren't for this gentleman right here, none of us would be here. So it takes someone who's truly, truly passionate about this industry to put something on like this, not just one day, but for an entire week. And so, Adam, thank you so much for supporting the film community and just embracing it with all you have. We're grateful. So ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the last ride, and please remember that tonight after the last ride, we'll have the Q&A with Tim Jackson, and then following that, we'll also have some more shorts to show this evening. Enjoy the night.
My name's Jill Pixley, and I play Fanny in the film Fanny, Annie, and Danny.
Tell us about your movie.
Fanny, Annie, and Danny is about basically a bad family Christmas where 3 adult siblings get together with their parents for the holiday, and all kinds of chaos ensues.
And what's your role?
My role's Fanny, so I'm the oldest of the 3 siblings. Excuse me. And my character is developmentally disabled in the movie, so she faces some particular struggles, and through the course of the film, she's also going through losing her job as well, which can affect her housing, so there's a lot of conflict surrounding her in the world of the family.
And what was the best part of being part of this movie?
Well, there's a lot, really. I mean, it's such a story that I think both myself and Chris, the director, just felt needed to be told about people, just kind of real people, you know, not people that are out of reach necessarily, too glamorous. And these are just real people with real struggles in life. And I think a lot of people can relate to that. That's what we're finding as we go to festivals and screen the film, is that audiences relate to these individual characters. So that's really gratifying, I think, to be in that kind of a story.
How long did it take you to work your character to get ready for it?
Well, I did some research on different elements that I wanted to put into her, and I don't know. It took a little bit of time, but then once we started rehearsing and working with the actors on the set, I think that's when everything kind of started coming together.
Can you tell us something that happened during the production?
A good story. Let's think. I don't know if there were, I mean, like something funny or something scary or something like, oh my gosh, we just lost the camera. No tragedies happened. Geez, it was a pretty smooth set. That makes it sound kind of boring, doesn't it?
Everybody was happy?
Everybody was happy. No, I mean, probably an interesting element is that Chris and the director and I are married. And this was the first film that we had worked on together as husband and wife. We'd worked together before we were dating, or before we even, we met on a set. So that was a new dynamic, to have your husband also be your director. And so that was interesting, because it wasn't the kind of thing that we could just sort of go to work and then come home and leave it at home. It was sort of with us all the time, 24/7. So we'd wake up with it. It would be there when we got home at the end of the day shooting. So it was kind of intense, but in a way that's kind of cool. That's why we do this. So.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
My name is Chris Brown, and I'm the director of the film Fanny, Annie, and Danny.
Okay, tell us about your movie.
Well, it's a drama. It's about a family. It's about 3 siblings who are sort of forced to come together for a Christmas holiday dinner. And I think a lot of movies that we see are about other movies, and I think this movie is about life. This movie is about people I know, people I am close to, and I don't think people have seen a film like this.
And you wrote the script?
I wrote it, yeah.
How long did it take to finish?
I think a few months. It came pretty fast. I'm a slow writer, but this one came very fast. We were supposed to shoot another film, and we were preparing to go into production on that, and this other story just kind of kept nagging at me, these other characters. And I wrote the script fairly fast, and I decided this was the one that needed to be made right away. And we shot it in about 23 days, and then it took a long time to cut, but it just poured out.
Where did you shot?
I live in San Francisco, and we shot it within San Francisco and then in the surrounding towns.
What was the best part for you?
Well, the best part, a lot of good parts. One of the best things, I wrote the film for 3 of my favorite actors, Jill Pixley, George Killingsworth, and Colette Keane. And we've all worked together before on many different films, but I had these 3 characters that I thought would be fun for them to play. And so it was fun getting the band back together again in a way. And some people came from out of state. Colette lives on a ranch in Montana, so we called her in and just getting the old friends, the old family back together, and then meeting new friends and sort of enlarging that family group. I like to work with the same people, and I love actors. And we met a lot of new friends and a lot of new actor friends that we want to work with again, for sure.
So you said the characters you wrote it for people that you already know.
Yeah.
Before you started writing, they already knew that you were writing a part for them?
Not necessarily, no. They knew vaguely, because I'd sort of said, I have something in mind, but they didn't really know what. And I think they were all a little surprised when they got the script. And because it's not an easy film necessarily. These aren't easy parts to play. It wasn't a cakewalk for them. They had to sort of, okay, I can do this. Okay, I can do this. And but even Jill had no idea what the film was about. She had no idea what her character was about. Well, it was really different. It was really different this time. We met. I cast Jill in a film, several years ago, and then we shot that film, and then we started to date, and then we got married, and it's just a different thing because you're going home together and you're going to the set together, and it's hard to find the line between backstage and stage. And things get kind of, am I a director now, or am I a husband now, am I a friend now, am I your employer now, or am I, it's something we had to work out. It's something we had to work out. But it was terrifically rewarding in the end.
And what are the future regrets for this film?
Well, I don't know. The film's pretty new. It just premiered for the first time about 9 weeks ago, I think. And San Antonio Film Festival is only our 4th film festival. So this is the first phase of distribution. We're gonna hopefully just travel from town to good film festivals. There are a lot of film festivals, and you can't enter all the film festivals. So you have to be quite selective, and we only enter the festivals that we feel have a very particular fit for us and our film. And there's something about the San Antonio Film Festival. There's a lot of care that they take in mounting the festival, and we instantly felt a kinship with this place and with the people who run it. So your question, what's the future for the film? We'll take it around the country, hopefully around the world, and we'll seek some sort of distribution, whether that's a DVD release or a limited theatrical release or a cable release, and we'll just slowly bring it out to the world.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right.
My name is Carmen Maron, and I'm the writer, director, and producer of the independent dance film Go For It.
Tell us what's your movie about.
My movie is it's an inspirational dance film, and it's about a young woman in junior college who's afraid to follow her dream to be a dancer. So she goes through a lot of issues and problems with school and with her parents and everything that kids nowadays deal with as she's trying to figure out herself and how to pursue this goal of hers.
How was the process on making the film?
The process, it was very difficult.
You wrote, you produced, you directed?
The hardest part is that I was the only producer. So I had to deal with like all the little details, like figuring out like, you know, am I gonna have enough for craft services, to finding the locations, to getting the cast. It was a long process. It took me in total probably 2 years from when I knew that I had the money, which my husband and I funded, to actually going into production. I'd say about 2 years.
And what was the reason you did this film?
I did this film honestly because I was a guidance counselor and I saw all these urban kids. I worked in South Phoenix and I worked with all these kids that reminded me of myself. I'm, you know, an inner city kid from Chicago. And I saw that they were making the same mistakes that I was making growing up, and that all my friends who were so talented, they were doing the same thing. And so I decided to write a screenplay and create characters that would be role models for them, and characters that they can relate to, that they can see themselves in, and hopefully that would give them inspiration to follow their dreams and believe more in themselves, that everything that they need everything that they need to follow their dream is within inside of themselves. So if they can just believe that and tap into that, then they can really make all their dreams happen. And that's kind of why I named my film Go For It. It's just kind of like, just believe in yourself and go for it, you know. You're gonna fall, but you get right back up.
How was the experience of directing for the first time?
Actually, the experience was pretty good. I mean, in the beginning, I really didn't know what I was doing. Like maybe the first couple days, I was like, oh my gosh, okay, what am I supposed to do? Or, you know, how can I communicate this? But as we were moving along during production, it felt more comfortable for me, and I felt like it was becoming more natural. And by the end, I was just like, you know, it just felt right. So it was, gosh, it was something that I never thought that I would do in my life, but now that I did it, I realize it's part of my journey. I really am grateful to have done that.
Great. Well, the cast was great, and tell us a little bit about how the process was.
With the cast? Well, with the cast, I spent a year casting also. What I did was I started casting on my own. I did like the smaller casting sites, and gosh, I had like thousands of people just submit, and I would just go through thousands, you know, of headshots, resumes, and reels. And then I had a lot of characters, as you know, in my film. I had like 51, so it took a long time, and I already knew like more or less what I was looking for in them, so I wanted to just keep going until I found them. And then I hired casting directors to put it officially out on breakdowns for me. I hired them for like a few weeks, because I didn't want to be also the only casting director, because everyone's like, you know, you're the writer, director, producer, and casting director, they're gonna think I'm like, this is like a, you know, a rinky-dink production with no money. You know, I wanted them to see like that there was some production value. So then when they put it out on breakdowns, and I got a bunch more, and then I started seeing my leads. So that's when I started casting more of the female leads. And then I just continued on by myself, because I took a long time and I couldn't afford to have a casting director for a whole year. So then I flew out to Chicago, and I just continued casting until I found everyone. The last character I think that I cast was Pablo, the brother in the car who was like funny, who was always trying to dance. I think he was the last character that I cast. And then the dancers all came.
What was the hardest thing on the film?
The hardest thing to shoot? The dancing. The dancing. Doing a dance film is not like doing a regular film. Doing a dance film requires making sure you have all these extras, making sure that even though I only have 40 to 50 extras, that they make this club look full. So you have to like crowd them in corners and make sure you get the right angles, you know, and then making sure that you have like all the right dancers and that they're trained. And I'm so blessed to have really trained dancers, because honestly, we had no time for breaks. We would just literally like action, cut, reset. You know, action, cut, reset. We just went through all the dance scenes in like 2 days.
Has the turnout been in San Antonio?
The turnout was great. I mean, I actually think someone told me that so far the turnout in San Antonio, Go For It has had the best turnout of them all, which I'm really shocked, because I'm not from San Antonio and there's a lot of local films, so I don't have the benefit of knowing anyone or any of the production team, but you know, I did an interview on the San Antonio College radio station, and I know that like after we got out the interview, people started calling in, figuring out like where is it, where can they go, how much does it cost. So It's been really good. It's been great. It's been really great, and the feedback has been amazing. I'm really glad I'm here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Patricia Van Riker, and I am the writer, director, producer of 2501, which is screening this weekend here at the San Antonio Film Festival.
Tell us a little bit about your movie.
It's about the current work of Oaxacan artist Alejandro Santiago, and the pueblo where Alejandro was born no longer has any working age men or women living there. It's become a pueblo of grandparents and children, as all of the adults had to leave to find work. So he decided that he wanted to draw attention not only to the problem of his pueblo, but what he ultimately felt was a global issue, and that's the issue of immigration. So he created these 2501 life-size ceramic sculptures to represent everyone around the world that has had to leave their family and their home to find work.
What inspired you to do this film?
I was actually talking to a friend of mine who, as it turns out, is Alejandro's gallery and artist representative in the United States. And I just happened to be in Robert's gallery one day, and I noticed this painting that really knocked my socks off, and I said, "Who's painting?" And he said, "That's Alejandro Santiago's, and by the way, that rather strange sculpture over in the corner is a prototype for his new project." So Robert started telling me about this, and I was just stunned that anyone would take on something that massive. And as I was listening to it, I was just enamored with this man's vision to do it. It never occurred to me to make the documentary. And I went back to the hotel room where Ron was, who was my longtime partner in crime. And I finished this whole story, and Ron looked at me and he said, "There's your documentary, you idiot." And I said, "Yeah, thank you for pointing it out." And I got on the phone with Robert and I called him and I said, "Hey, what about a documentary on this?" And he said, if you're serious, I'll set it up. And he did. And we started, took us 4 years to film it, just traveling back and forth.
Tell us a little bit about the process of doing the documentary.
Well, we would truly travel back and forth to Oaxaca as Alejandro would have more and more of these built. And it wasn't something, because it took him such a long time to do it, 6 years, it wasn't anything that you could literally say, I'm moving to Oaxaca and I'm just going to film every day. Because truthfully, it was a repetitive thing that he did. As it turns out, 3,000 times, because 500 of them over the course of the whole project were broken. So he ended up making 3,000 to get the 2,501. And it is kind of the silly old saying, it's kind of like waiting for water to boil or watching grass grow, because he would do the same things over and over. I mean, there was a system to building these. Because they're so heavy, they have to be built in a specific fashion, or the clay won't sustain the weight. So he would teach all of his, helpers and assistants this method, and then they would all slowly build these. But he would do some of them he built from the ground up himself until he found workers. But then he would do all the finishing and all the detail work on them and the painting. So we just traveled back and forth once or twice every year when it was convenient for him and it fit with, also what we were doing. And I don't know.
What was the
I'll have
best
to edit
part?
that part.
What was the best part of making this film?
Getting to spend all that time in Oaxaca. It's a stunning place. I love Mexico. I've traveled quite a bit there. But I'd never been to Oaxaca until I started this. And I fell in love with the town, with the people, with the history. And it became a very, very special place. And I actually haven't been back for a year and a half, and I really miss it. Made a lot of really good friends down there and are still in touch with them. And getting to be part of a project, and I don't mean the film, but I mean Alejandro's project. Getting to be a part of something that I consider very important and a very unique take on an issue that has become so divisive that shouldn't be, because what we're really talking about, I think, are people's lives. And it's people's lives all around the world. I mean, it's not a border issue between the U.S. and Mexico. This is an issue that we have to look at of how it's affecting people globally. So that was very special to me, to be able to be a part of that.
Do you know why you chose that special number?
I do. He tells varying stories on this, but the reason he chose that number was at the time that he started the project, there had been 2,500 people who had lost their lives in trying to cross the border from Mexico to the U.S. And so he picked that number, and then he said there will always be one more, which is how it became 2,501.
And what can we, how's the turnout been for this documentary?
At all of the film festivals, that's my baby, that's my project. So you always go, how many people are going to show up? How many people are going to share your passion and your curiosity? And I have just been so gratified and astonished, because it's pretty much been 3/4 to a full house every time it's screened in now 10 different festivals. So it seems to be striking a chord with people. And then they actually want to stay and talk afterwards, either a Q&A or, I mean, I was in the Durango Film Festival, and people were finding me on the streets, which really surprised me. And I'm not used to people walking up to me on the streets and going, hey, wasn't that your film? And it's like, oh, yeah. So it's making people think, and they really want to talk about it. So that's cool.
Are you going to continue to work on this documentary, or are you done?
Yeah, I definitely want to. We have a lot of narrative films that we want to do that, we have the scripts for, and they're fun. But there's something about a documentary, you find your subject, and for me, it's a way to speak to issues that I'm passionate about, and it's a really fun and interesting way to hopefully enlighten somebody, or to pique their curiosity and maybe make them go off and do something that can actually make a difference. And I like using film to make a difference.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.